Woo! Hey everybody, Jim Sammons here, the Kayak Fishing Show live. Having some weird technical difficulties today. First, my mic wouldn't work. Then my camera's not working properly, and it wouldn't let me actually zoom in properly, so it's all out of whack. So you can see my green screen there, and then you got the sides of my office there. So I was running a little bit late and didn't have time to fix it. I rebooted my computer several times, and that still didn't fix it. So anyway, what are you going to do? Got a little bit of nice scenery behind me. So Kayak Fishing Show brought to you by Ballast Point Brewing Company, as well as all of our other great sponsors, Jackson Kayak, Seagar, and all the other ones, Yak Attack, Warner Paddles. My mind's a little blank here because I got so flustered messing with this thing. I just got back from Denver, Colorado. Seems I can bring bad weather everywhere. It was cold, man. And for a person from San Diego who's not used to cold, it was really cold. A couple days of good snow. But luckily it wasn't a fishing trip. I just went up there to see my daughter. And so we had a really nice time. So that was cool. But like I said, not used to that cold weather at all. Douglas, how you doing, man? Joining us from Brazil, I think, as I recall. Dave, how you doing, man? And Andrew, how are you? I appreciate you guys joining us. Again, people are new to this. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we air old episodes of the Kayak Fishing Show. On Tuesdays are kind of the newer ones, although fairly old. This one's from season 5, and we are now in season 11. So this one's from a little ways back. On Thursdays, we aired the really early years when we were with Ocean Kayak. So every week we air these older episodes with live commentary, question and answer. If you do have questions, throw them out there, please. It always makes for a better show if we can answer your questions and chat and all that. About the destination. Sometimes I'll have a guest on here from the shoot. Other times I just go the solo. Today I'm running solo because I did ask Henny Murray, who was our host on this episode, to join me. But because I was traveling, I didn't ask him until today, and he just wasn't available. So right now, just me, unless he happens to pop on. I did shoot him over the link. Liam, I don't remember if I said hello. Thanks for joining us from Kayak Fishing Tales. Facebook user. Facebook user, obviously watching from the Kayak Fishing Show group page. You actually need to give the page permission to use your name. When you do that, then your name will actually pop up. David Mazengill, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Says it's been a while. Looking forward to the show today. Fishing has been good. My son got his first Dorado in San Diego this weekend. Nice. Was that a kelp patty fish? I have not been able to fish at all. My back, I'm not lying, man. It's just been a wreck. I was in a lot of pain on this trip this last weekend. So hopefully that's going to turn around. But anyway, was that a kelp patty fish? Was it like on the 9 Mile, or was it farther out? Anything like that? Love to hear it. Dave, always drawing great weather towards you. Joining us from Australia. Yeah, I can bring bad weather pretty much everywhere. Oh, we got Ben Rouselle. Ben, I'm sorry, I misspelled your name. That was I was just trying to go by memory when I was typing it in, because I couldn't really tag you in it. The way Facebook does stuff for pages versus a personal page is very different. And when you're doing these videos, the way we set it up, it won't let you actually tag the people in the video. So it's really a pain in the butt. But he says, hey, Jim, good to see you. Wish this wasn't during my ride home from work. We'll have to catch it later. We want to say hi, how much fun I had on the trip. It was incredible. One of the coolest places I fished. I learned so much fishing with you. There was a steep learning curve, too, for me. It was mostly light tackle fly fishermen. Yeah, that's the thing is whenever you go on a trip like this, particularly if you're not used to it's bad enough when like a guy like me who's used to this kind of fishing, when you're trying to sort out an area you've never been to. It's kind of one of the cool things about the trips, but also can make it for a little bit more difficult fishing when you're trying to sort it out yourself. But when you're going from never even done that type of fishing, it's even more difficult. So I understand. But like I said, that's kind of makes a fun part of the challenge for me. And that's why I love going to different places. And that's why I have talked about, if you watched our last show where we did the hoop netting thing, and that's why we have kind of talked about doing this other show, which is Fishing Always. And that'll really be going and doing different stuff. So maybe get me a little bit even more out of my comfort zone, but showing you guys different types of fishing like we did the hoop netting. Dave says he got his dodo on the Siegler he won for me. Well, that's super cool. 45 miles out. So that's not super local, but was that on a private boat, or were you on one of the local charters? I know they've been doing pretty well, and they're still, oh, I'm sorry, I saw it down here a little bit lower on the producer out of H&M. I know they're still getting yellowfin tuna, Dorado. They're starting to find some kelp patties, and they're still getting these massive bluefin tuna. I mean, massive stuff that I really don't want to deal with because my back just couldn't handle it. And we also have a gentleman checking in from El Salvador. So thank you for joining us there from the group page. So anyway, as you know, I always say these trips are just so much fun. And, Panama really has always been one of my favorite places. I've been to Panama with quite a few times. Again, we've been with, my first trips I ever went were with Pesca Panama, which is a floating lodge that moved around from each destination to destination. So you got to fish a lot of different areas. The next times I've been down there were with Paddle Panama, which is be this episode with Henny Murray. The cool thing about his places are very remote, often semi self-supported. They're not a true guided trip. They're not a hardcore guided kayak fishing trip per se, but remote. We've done the ones down in Hake, which is right down on the Colombian border. And then we did this one. And we've been able to fish with Paddle Panama a few times, and just an absolutely great setup they have. And then, of course, we've done our shoots with Los Buzos, which is just, if for a hardcore kayak angler who wants to be, that caters to kayak anglers. You are only fishing one location, but it's a great location. I actually saw a post from them today that one of their guests was hooked up to a black marlin today. So I don't know if he's still on it or if he caught it or anything like that, but they posted that one of their people was hooked up to a black marlin today. So that's super cool. Those big marlin are just a whole different level. I've caught a lot of striped marlin and sailfish, and you jump into the blue marlin and black marlin, they're just a different level. Those are mean animals. So anyway, this shoot was with Paddle Panama. It was to Bahia Honda. We had Ben Rouselle, who commented a little bit earlier, was on the trip with us, and my buddy James McBeath from Jackson Kayak. And we stayed in basically in a little structure they built that we could put our tents in. So it was semi-roughing it, but they would cook meals for us and everything. And the people there were so helpful and so nice. And we ate great. And it was just an absolutely cool place. So actually ticked this thing a little farther forward than it was supposed to. So so this will be part 2. This is the one where I actually end up catching a really nice, my personal best roosterfish. So let's add it on there, and let's get this episode rolling. Please share our shows whenever you can, and if you have any questions, by all means, send them my way. I'll answer them during the show, or if I don't, I will answer them after in text. So let's let her roll.
This week on the Kayak Fishing Show, we're continuing our adventure in Panama. We're with Paddle Panama, my good friend James McBeath, Ben Rouselle from Jackson Kayak, and we are chasing monsters. Stick around, it's going to be a great show.
Word to the wise, if your mama ain't taught you, don't stand in front of a man and a fish he ain't caught yet. Honey, if the world calls me, tell him I'm fishing. I'm going fishing. Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Would you like to? Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Would you like to go fishing? I'm going fishing.
Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Jackson Kayak. One family, many waters. Ram, innovative mounting systems proudly made in the USA. Yak Attack, create the ultimate fishing machine with Yak Attack accessories. Standard Horizon, nothing takes to the water like Standard Horizon. Body Glove Footwear, featuring the new 3T Barefoot Water Shoe. And Hook One, everything you need to get out there and hook one. This week on Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show, Jim Sammons continues his adventures off the west coast of Panama with Paddle Panama.
Bahia Honda was about an hour and a half boat ride from, well, basically we were a 5.5 hour car ride to our jump off point. And we jumped in a boat for an hour and a half boat ride to Bahia Honda. And so it's very remote, very beautiful because, you don't have a ton of people. There's no roads, anything like that. So unlike some of the places that, may have been clear cut and all that, here we were still getting woken up every morning by howler monkeys. We saw snakes, saw all kinds of just really cool stuff. And it's just so beautiful. I mean, just looking up on the hillsides above where we're fishing and just the beautiful trees and these little islands we're fishing around. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful spot.
Joining him this week is James McBeath and Ben Rouselle from Jackson Kayak. It's day 4 in Bahia Honda. The guys wake before the dawn, ready to hit the water and see what the Rocky Coast has to offer today.
I'm going to catch a really strong fish. This fish is going to be so strong, it's not going to be able to pull this out. Not going to be able to.
This is a kind of a once-in-a-lifetime deal, mainly because, I'm traveling to somewhere I've never really considered going. I've never really thought I'd have the ability to go to. Having Paddle Panama here to operate something like this is really awesome because it brings that those two parts together a lot easier. You don't have to do all the legwork. They'll do most of it. But this is really a once in a lifetime deal because I'm catching, Pacific fish, fish caught out of the Pacific, right here, right in a beautiful location, a tropical location, something that I can't experience at home.
Whew. Nice little amberjack. Whew. Tough fish, even for their size. Amberjacks are always tough.
So far, the fishing has been fantastic, only trumped by the beauty of this rustic and remote location.
So every morning we woke up and it's a short paddle out to where we go fishing. There's about 4 or 5 spots around here this whole area is protected by an island that keeps the really big swell from the ocean off of us. And so all you're really doing with this traditional current, some waves, some chop, but it's all manageable. So for me, and I've never been on the ocean before, fishing in this style, going into boiler rocks that didn't have that heavy suck and that heavy current was a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Stay tuned. When we come back, the guys continue hauling in fish after fish, breaking personal bests, and adding new species to their personal catch list. The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Jackson Kayak. One family.
So yeah,
many
during
waters.
this,
Learn more at
I said I had Ben
jacksonkayak.com.
and James, who both were brand new to this style of fishing. So not only was I trying to do stuff for our show, but having to play a little bit of guide. And it adds a little bit of pressure on me. But again, I've been a guide. I've been guiding kayak fishing
Jackson
for
Kayak's
forever.
Kayak Fishing Show is brought to
So,
you by Ram Kayak Man.
that's always fun. And then it's so much fun to see your friends catch fish that they never dreamed of. Both of these guys, like I said, James particularly being from Ottawa, his biggest fish were pike and muskie. And I've caught pike and muskie, and though they get big and they're fun, they got nothing on the pulling power of a saltwater fish. So it's really fun to see your friends who have never caught those kind of fish be able to do that. David says, don't forget to share, guys and gals. Yeah, please, everybody share this with your friends. That really, really helps. And he also says, does James do stand up? No, but James does think he's funny. No, that's actually, James has been on the show, not only because he's the marketing manager of Jackson Kayak, or one of our sponsors. So he's been on a lot of episodes with us, but it's always just because we have so much fun fishing with James. You are laughing the whole time. He's corny, but we have a great time hanging out. And that's what makes a great trip, is getting to fish with friends. And, speaking of friends, Esteban, oops, I popped him up back down. Esteban Gutierrez, how are you, man? Good to see you. Esteban has been on the show several times as well. A good fishing friend of ours, and someone we need to go fishing with again. Although I don't know if he fishes all that much now. I think you spend most of your time in the gym. Every time I see a picture of you, you're flexing. So hope you're doing well, man. David, so you're the one who thinks James is funny. No, like I said, James is funny. We have a great time fishing with him. But anyway, let's keep this show rolling.
Featuring a complete line of kayak mounts that reveal a world of possibilities. Welcome back. This week we're fishing the west coast of Panama with top-notch adventure tourism and kayak fishing guides from Paddle Panama and owner-operator Henny Moraes.
Well, right now we're in Bahia Honda, which is sort of on...
By the way, that is Henny Moraes, not Henny Moraes.
what we would like to call the lost coast of Panama. And it's one of my favorite spots.
We've had a great time down here. Beautiful remote location. You couldn't have asked for a better, more beautiful spot to be at, and just a very short distance from getting out there on some good fish.
After retiring from running sport fishing lodges, Henny decided it was time to combine his two loves, paddling and fishing, and find a way to give back to the Panamanian people he loved. Paddle Panama was born, and he never looked back.
Panama is an absolutely amazing country. We have 4 archipelagos, the Bocas del Toros, Perlas Islands, the San Blas Islands, and the Coiba National Park. A paddler's dream, from kayak fishing to touring, even whitewater. So absolutely fantastic country, lovely people, safe country, and developing super fast, beautiful restaurants, nightlife, beautiful nature places like this. It's absolutely a dream life.
The location here at Bahia Honda is really unique. It's really remote, so it's a really cool service that Paddle Panama offers. Coming here, you stay with a local family. You get that local hospitality that you find pretty much nowhere. But you're sleeping under a thatched roof. you're in the woods, you hear howler monkeys in the morning, you know, the waves are lapping up right under your tent, essentially. Really a cool experience to come out here and just kind of be in a remote location where you can just paddle right out your door.
Luxury camping in remote locations full of fish, hosted by local families eating local foods in a tropical paradise, guided by the people that fish these waters every day, and a full fleet of brand new Jackson Kayaks makes Paddle Panama's kayak fishing trips the trip of a lifetime for the anglers seeking the ultimate adventure. It's easy to bring the right lure when you're fishing out your back door, but traveling to remote locations with paddle, life jacket, rods, and all your tackle is impossible. So this week, Jim shows you what lures he brings when he explores a new coastline. In the kayak fishing tip, brought to you by Yak Attack. Turn your kayak into the ultimate fishing machine with Yak Attack kayak fishing accessories. For kayak fishermen, by kayak fishermen.
The thing about fishing in Panama is you're going to have the ability to do a lot of different things. So it can sometimes be a little daunting on figuring out what gear to bring. A product that I really like if we're doing a lot of lure fishing is a product called the Power Clip by Tactical Anglers. They look like a paper clip, but they come from 50-pound test up to 175-pound test. And it just makes swapping out lures so quick and easy. So it's well worth investing in a package of these and bring them with you because you're going to be switching out lures and trying different stuff a lot. Let's talk about the lures you're going to be using.
I'm going to pause that for 1 second. I will say that I still use the power clips for certain situations. I've also found that because of the weight of them on certain lures, it will affect the way the lure swims. So for certain lures or like some certain poppers, if it's putting that weight on the front of the popper, it might pull the front down a little bit and it's not going to give you the right action. So with some lures, not a big deal. But you're going to want to experiment because other lures, it will affect the action of it, the way it sits on the surface. So it's a great product. I like them. I still use them, but experiment to make sure that it's not affecting the action on your lure.
You're going to want to have everything from surface, subsurface, and deep lures. So surface, now you're talking about poppers. Splashers by Sabile, Dumbbell Pop by River to Sea. Both great surface action lures. We got a lot of hits on these big lures. Other times the fish are hitting a little bit deeper. That's why I like the Stick Shad by Sabile and the Wide Glide by River to Sea. Both of these have great action. Again, we had a lot of blow-ups on these lures. Next off, probably one of the ways that I got the largest amount of fish on this trip. The fish seem to be holding a little bit deeper. We're doing a lot of speed jigging, mechanical jigging, whatever you want to call it. So some lures that'll get down deep, okay? These things are deadly. Learn how to work the mechanical jig and you will get bit on those deep water fish. Of course, we did a lot of bait fishing. First off, make sure you bring some mustad sabikis because you're going to want to be able to catch live bait. Then a variety of mustad hooks. We're using pretty big baits. Most of the hooks I was using were the Demon Perfect Circle by Mustad. This is a 10-aught hook. And some of the baits that we're using out there were bonita that were this big, and you want to jump way up in hook size. But Mustad has all those hooks for you. Going after different fish, if I'm fishing basically just roosters and that sort of thing, I will put on 40-pound leader. So I bring a whole stack of Seagar fluorocarbon leader, and I've got it everywhere from 20 up to 130-pound test. Like I said, if it's just roosters, 40, 60-pound test is fine, but you start getting those Cubera, stuff that likes to run into the rocks, you want to jump up to that 80 to even 100-pound test, and there's marlin out there, you're going to have that 100, 130-pound test. So bring a variety of Seagar fluorocarbon leader. It will really pay off. That's the gear I brought with me here to Panama. That's your kayak fishing tip of the week.
Stay tuned. When we come back, the guys jig the depths for hard-fighting amberjacks and Cubera snapper. Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Hook One. Everything you need to get out there and hook one.
So David says he has a summer house in Michigan and catch big pike. That compared to yellowtail is night and day difference. Yeah, pike give you a great explosion, particularly if they're hitting topwater. Then they're kind of like a barracuda to me. It's like if you get their head pointed at you, you can just crank them right to you. And then they're kind of a handful as you're trying to land them, like muskie are as well. They love to spin up on your line and landing them. But the overall fight, I mean, it lasts a couple of minutes versus, you get on a big yellowtail, you're going to be on that fish 10, 15, 20 minutes or more if you're not used to fighting a really tight drag. So yeah, freshwater versus saltwater, big difference. David says we use the fastash here in Australia. Most work okay. Is that a lure or is that an attachment, David? Is that like that clip, the power clip I was using? Is that an attachment? Fastash, like attachment? Or is that a type of lure? Like I said, these things work great, but if you add weight to the front of a lure on certain lures, it's just not going to act as well. David says that is a clip. Thank you, man. I appreciate you letting me know. Gene Wilson, how are you? It's the second video I've seen you on today. I saw you on that Jackson team one also. And, oh, David, again, can't wait to see this rooster. We get them down here, and they look like such a great fish to catch. Rooster, like we get them down here? I don't think you get them down there. I've never heard of a rooster in Australia. Anyway, yeah, roosters are amazing. I've caught a lot of them. When I used to guide down in Baja, we caught a lot of them. You'd get them anywhere from 15 pounds to regularly at the right time of year. You'd have clients get multiple 50 pounders. The biggest one I ever had a client get was down in Baja. And that one we estimated, because I weighted on a boga grip and it bottomed out the boga grip. It was estimated at about 80 plus. I mean, just a huge, huge rooster. So this one that I caught was also a very, very big rooster and my personal best. And we were fishing in an area that has had a ripping current. So anyway, let's keep her rolling. Maybe we'll get to see this fish.
Body Glove, featuring the new 3T Barefoot Water Shoe. Welcome back. It's day 5 off the lost coast of Panama. Jim Sammons and guests Ben Rouselle and James McBeath have moved off the rocky coastline to deeper waters, hoping to jig up some bigger fish.
Tell you what, it's nice to have the fish finder on here because I was going for my spots that I had marked in and I metered a school underneath me, dropped on it, boom. Not bad, AJ. Yeah, I'll take one like that all day. Well, my bait's going and I can't get this hook out of this one.
Look at my rod bouncing because it's getting hit.
There we go.
Double hookup.
Nice grouper. Well, like every day, we got up bright and early this morning. We were on the water by about 6 o'clock and put in another long day. I haven't been off this kayak all day, and it is now almost 6 o'clock. So 12 hours sitting in this thing, having a great time paddling in this beautiful place. Put in a lot of miles, paddle against current, hoping for some bigger fish offshore. Didn't get anything going, but started working vertical jigs, caught a bunch of fish, some amberjack, snapper. I hooked a manta ray. Just been a really cool, fun day today. Definitely our best day of fishing as far as numbers goes. The reason we keep coming to this spot is it's been producing. We know there's fish here. We've been metering fish, and it's historically a good spot. The guides always come here, so they know it's a good spot. And one of the main reasons it's a good spot is that it's kind of a pinch point. So it's a fairly wide area here, but it is a pinch point. All the current comes through this way. The fish have to come through this way. So it's just an ideal spot where you figure fish are going to be congregating. Tons of bait here, so there's got to be fish.
Well, the big difference between freshwater and what I'm used to fishing and the ocean is speed and strength. You have fish who have the capacity to hit your lure at such great speeds that you're not used to it. You're not ready for it. Your line just goes. We don't get that in freshwater. What we do in freshwater is slow hits. We tend to see the muskie or the pike or the bass or the walleye hitting a bait and slowly turning around, and you're fighting it. It's a nice slow fight. It's a slow retrieve back into the boat. It's an easy release. Out here, it's a fast hit. It is a fast and heavy fight. You're pulling and pulling where you never had to do that in freshwater. And then when you finally get it to boat, well, that's kind of when the fun begins.
The kayak I was paddling on this trip was the Jackson Kayak Cuda 14. It's just a great all-around boat. I mean, I like to kind of consider it an SUV. I mean, it's great in rough water. It paddles really well. It's very solid, very comfortable. The seat's amazing. Had room for the J crate on the back, which I turned into a bait tank. So just a super boat.
It's like an SUV. It's really excels at all things. So when you get in the shallows, you know, you can stand up and see anything you'd want to see. You have that stability. When you get out into the swells, you have that stability. It's my preferred platform. I mean, it's got a great deck layout. To me, it's kind of the ultimate fishing kayak.
The other boat we had on location on this trip was the Big Rig, and James McBeath was paddling the Big Rig. Again, just a super solid platform. He was standing up sight casting, standing up fly casting, even in some, a little bit bumpy conditions. It showed what a solid boat it was. But also, even though it's a big boat, he was keeping right up with us while we were paddling. So it is a good paddling boat as well. This week while fishing in Panama, we were targeting a lot of different types of fish. I had to bring gear for everything from throwing topwater to fishing jigs to trolling live bait. One of the things that we did a lot of that I was very successful with was fishing the vertical jigging. I used a release reel SG. It's a really nice, small, compact reel, so it's really easy when you're doing that mechanical jigging motion. I had that loaded up with 80-pound Seagar threadlock hollow core braid, so I could do wind-on leaders. And then I just changed the size of the leader. For the most part, I was using 60 or 80-pound Seagar fluorocarbon wind-on leaders. My rod is just a 6-footer. It's got a nice soft tip, a lot of backbone. When you hooked into a big fish, you could really pull on them. This is what I was using this week in Panama while I was vertical jigging.
When we come back, Jim hooks into a monster and goes for a ride as a personal best record gets crushed.
That's why we came to Panama. Get in some strong fish.
Jackson Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by DeLorme InReach. Follow Jim Sammons' Big Game Adventure.
So had a couple of questions here from David. Is Paddle Panama still doing kayak fishing trips? Which place do you like better, Los Busos or Bahia Honda, and why? And yeah, you've got to try fishing down there. Panama is spectacular. So first off, is paddlepanama.com still doing stuff? Yes, they are. I know it's been a super funky year for them. If you think we had restrictions here in the US, it was nothing compared to what Panama had. I mean, literally, they could only go out of the house on odd or even days. I mean, it was super locked down. So I know some of the stuff is likely not up to date. Yeah, it says, yeah, she said in another comment, it looks like their website is out of date. Yeah, I know he's doing stuff. I know he's still doing trips. I know his plan is to continue doing this, but it's, like I said, right now, I'm sure he's in flux, just like the rest of the world. Which place do I like better, Los Busos or Bahia Honda, and why? So hard to comment or to say. Los Busos, like I said, if you want full service, sleeping in at a lodge and, great food and guides on the water with you each and every day in kayaks that are kayak guides, it's hard to beat Los Busos. I mean, it is an amazing, amazing place and a great. They've got their operations so dialed in. I meant to pop myself up on the screen there. I mean, it's absolutely a great operation. The cool thing about the trips that Henny does with Paddle Panama, they said he's got not only Bahia Honda, he's got Hake, which is farther south. Again, very remote, way down. Like I said, right on the border of Colombia. We never saw another angler. So he's got these different trips, and some of them are definitely more of an adventure. I know last I talked to him, we were talking about doing these trips where it was more of a, like I said, a true adventure, camping along the coast and doing it that way. So you're moving from spot to spot while you're paddling. So much more self-supported, much more exploratory, much more you having to figure it out, find the spots, that sort of thing. So ultra cool adventure instead of the much more fully supported that you get at Los Busos. So it just kind of depends on which kind of trip you want, but both are very cool. I highly recommend going to both. I mean, I've said this since the first couple trips I did in Panama. And like I said, the first ones I did were with Pesca Panama. If there was one place I could go back to every year, it's always been Panama. I mean, I absolutely love it down there. And the same could be said for Costa Rica. I mean, they're right next to each other. I've just tended to have had a little bit better fishing in Panama. And maybe that's just my luck, but amazing place. You would never regret going to Panama on an adventure. And it's very easy as a U.S. citizen to travel to Panama as well. Mike, you got to go to work? Well, the nice thing about that is, Michael, you can come back and watch the rest later. And yeah, wait till after COVID. Yeah, like I said, and I posted this again the other day that, there are certain regulations for having to try. You can travel to Panama now. It is open. I know Los Busos is running some of its first trips of the year. But there are regulations. You do have to have a current COVID test. You have to go through whatever hoops you have to jump through for them. But at least you can go now. Things are opening up. I talked to my buddy Omar Araca in Puerto Rico. Things are starting to open up for them a little bit. So I think the reality is people are coming to the conclusion that we just can't keep everything shut down. So hopefully, these places start seeing some tourism, start getting some business in, because they need it and we need it. We need to get out there. So anyway, let's keep this thing rolling. We'll see this last big roosterfish that I caught on this trip.
You're live with DeLorme InReach at kayakfishingshow.com. Raymarine Dragonfly. View the world beneath your boat with photo-like clarity of chirp down vision. This week, Jim Sammons is fishing in Panama with Paddle Panama. It's been an amazing week, and the guys plan on finishing it off with a bang, dropping jigs deep and soaking live bait off the back to double their chances.
It is day 5 in Panama, and we are going out to hit the islands this morning, and we're hoping for big fish.
So last day in Panama. Hopefully we're going to get some big ones here. We came out to the island where we been getting.
Pause. So if you just saw that little bit, I wonder if I can actually back up enough to kind of see it. Because when James was on the show last week, we talked about this incident with the tiger shark. So if you didn't see it, I'm going to tell the story again. James was fishing a ways away from me, and he hollers over the radio that a huge tiger shark just went under his boat. And so I go stroking over there to where he is, because I have a shark shield. And the shark shield does work very well. And so didn't want him, you know, first time really saltwater fishing, didn't want him in a situation where there's a big old tiger shark, you know, swimming around him and he's getting scared. I get over there, got the shark shield on. I'm like, because it only affects sharks, the ampullae of Lorenzini on sharks. So we start talking. It's like, okay, well, there's a tiger shark. Yeah. What did it look like? Well, it had spots. And I'm like, no, it had spots. It was a whale shark. I have never seen a whale shark out on the water. I've never seen one. I've always wanted to see one. I've always wanted to dive in the water and swim with one. And James had one swim right underneath his kayak and thought it was a tiger shark, not a whale shark. So, but I just saw as it went by that he had gotten a little bit of underwater footage of it with his GoPro. So pretty sure this is the footage of the whale shark swimming under his kayak. This is on the screen right now is the manta ray that I snagged with a vertical jig.
Going out to hit the islands this morning, and we're hoping for...
There it is. That's the tail of the whale shark right there.
So last day in Panama. Hopefully we're gonna get some big ones here. We came out to the island where we've been getting some fish, and we've got about a half a day to fish before we have to pack it up. So hopefully we can nail a few big ones this morning. On the river to sea. Knife jig. That's just hanging in there. Amberjack down here, kind of like some in Mexico, are more of almost a pinkish.
The day comes to a close, and it looks like it's time to pack up and head home. Jim feels a tug on his line and grabs his Standard Horizon VHF to call in the camera boat.
Tucked into the back of the island because it's so freaking windy and the current's so strong. It's kind of got in the eddy there, and I got slammed. I really let him eat it because I missed a couple that I didn't get on earlier. Once I put it in gear, he took off like a bat out of hell. It really took off. Of course, I'm going down current. I was flying away from that. Ah! Look at that roosterfish! He's just so big. Got him. Got him. And of course, a highlight for me on this trip, I got my personal best roosterfish. It had to have been at least 70 pounds. It bottomed out my boga grip. That is a grandfather right there. This is why we came to Panama, right here. That's a good 70-pound fish. Well, we're trying to. This is a big fish. Fought me a long time. I was trying to get some oxygen going through him. Awesome. Nice work, guys. Nice teamwork. Thank you so much. All right, well, we've had a great trip here with Paddle Panama. This awesome, beautiful spot. Got some great fish. Got my personal best rooster fish. But we got a lot of packing to do. Time to head home. So I guess this is our last catch and release. This week while we were fishing in Panama, communication between the anglers and our support boat and base camp was very important. There's no cell service out here. That's why we all carried Standard Horizon VHF radios. Standard Horizon has a full line of feature-packed VHF radios. Now, one of the new radios that they have that I really like is the HX300. It's light, small, waterproof, it floats, has a USB port for charging, which is really nice. It charges quickly and it lasts a long time. And get this, they're so confident in the quality of this product that for 3 years, if this thing does not work, they will replace it or repair it for free. How do you beat that? You can check out all of Standard Horizon's great radios and other products at standardhorizon.com.
With the big rooster landed and released, the guys called it a day. Beat up from hauling in fish after fish. One more meal of fresh fish ready to clean in the cooler, and then time to pack out of paradise.
And watching these, I said, always brings back great memories. You know, that trip was, 2014 is when that aired. So like 2013 when we shot it, maybe. So quite a few years ago. And like I said, some great memories of an awesome trip and fishing with good friends. And I said, if you get the opportunity to go to Panama, highly recommend it, whether it's with Paddle Panama, Los Buzos, Pesca Panama. I mean, you would never regret going on a trip down there. And if you want information or tips on any one of those, please, feel free to holler. I'm always happy to help. Dave says that thing is pulling. Yeah, that was one of those fish. And I always like to say about saltwater fish, those are fish that will make you hurt. It's just like they make your arms hurt. They make your back hurt. The cool thing about roosters, for the most part, is they don't tend to run into structure unless you catch them deep. They tend to run away from structure. They're not like, like I said, the Cubera that love to run into the structure and break you off, or like yellowtail that we have that love to run into structure and break you off. Roosters are a super kayaker friendly fish. Quite often you will find them, like in Mexico, we catch them right along the sandy beaches. They've got nothing to run into, even if they were going to. So they just get you on these haul butt sleigh rides. And they will go deep, but they're not usually running into anything. And just an awesome fish to catch, and definitely one of my favorites. So anyway, I appreciate everybody for joining me here today. Remember, we'll be back on Thursday with I think it's part 2 of the episode we aired last Thursday. So part 2 of a Costa Rica trip, actually. So hope you can join us on Thursday at 2:00. If, again, you have any questions, please shoot them my way. Always happy to share my feelings on different locations and techniques or whatever else in kayak fishing. So I hope you can join us. And please do share this with your friends. We're trying to build the audience and keep those sponsors happy so we can continue doing it. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, if you're going out on the water, please remember, always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. Y'all take care.
Word to the wise, if your mama ain't taught you, don't stand in front of a man and a fish he ain't caught yet. Honey, if the world Going out, going fishing.